Titans are picking number 1 overall, they're going to draft a quarterback.
You got to.
Yeah.
I love Will Levis as much as I don't know, say the next guy, but there's some people out there. But it's not the Will Levis-led Titans in 2025.
They're going to draft a quarterback. I can see them pulling what the Vikings did and drafting a quarterback and also signing a guy like Darnold. And if injury happens like what happened with J.J. McCarthy, or maybe you just want to sit the guy for the first year and let Darnold kind of I don't want to call it but I think be the punching bag for a year, but
there's too many bad teams out there for Darnold to settle.
He can't. All right. Raiders are picking 6th. We're saying that's a possibility. The Titans are picking 1st. You're saying Darnold's not going there because whoever you pick number 1 is going to start the season for you. How about the Giants picking 3rd? Does he go back to New York with the other team?
I actually think that makes sense.
Wow.
I think Sam Darnold in New York actually makes sense. They have some good pieces with the Giants this year. And
name the good pieces. They have good piece.
They have Malik Neighbors. Their defense is pretty good. I like their defensive line a lot, actually.
That's it. And they have a good defensive line.
Wandale Robinson is a good number 2.
He's just a good fantasy football player.
No other receivers have both had 1,000 yards, I believe, as both rookies.
Because who the hell else is supposed to catch the football?
It could be nobody. We could be completing no passes to wide receivers like the Penn State method. It could be a running back, tight end, led targets for your quarterback. I actually don't hate that at all.
Okay.
Especially, well, no, the division's pretty good. The Eagles are good.
The division's good.
And the Commanders are good.
But what I will say is, if Sam Darnold goes to the Giants, picking 3rd, that means that you can use that 3rd overall pick to bolster your offensive line or to go out and get Travis Hunter after the first 2 picks or quarterbacks. Now you're getting best available player. You're rolling Sam Darnold out there and giving him a chance to play. He's already dealt with the New York media, so that's not going to be what makes him crumble. It's just going to be the pressure in his face like last night.
Fair enough.
We already know what to expect. And also, if you're Brian Daboll, you have to feel like you're wise enough to be able to say, hey, Sam, you ain't sitting back there like you did against them and holding the ball for 4 to 5 seconds every time. You see number 1, Malik Neighbors? Yeah. Get him the ball. Hike it, throw it to him. That's the play. I don't give a damn what else is going on around you. Hike, ball to number 1.
Come to think of it, last night's Sam Darnold performance was eerily reminiscent of our Daniel Jones experiences with the New York Giants. Turning over the football, crumbling in the pocket, and looking defeated as soon as the football was snapped to him.
Jalen in the Prize Picks YouTube chat says Tyrone Tracy is a good piece. He is a good piece. But he's also a super-duper late-round running back who used to be a wide receiver who is probably easily replaceable. There's like 18 Tyrone Tracy's in the league.
There's like 3 or 4 Tyrone Tracy's on the grounds right now
here
at
I was about to say, is that over Tyrone Tracy? Okay, so the Giants are, we say, the best spot right now for Sam Darnold. We're doing something right here.
I think so. I honestly think so.
There's 2 more options, 2 more places. We've already gone through the Jets, Steelers, Raiders, and Titans. 2 more places outside of the Giants as well that are going to have a starting quarterback opening next season as things stands. And those 2 teams actually have a veteran, which they also restructured their quarterback contracts, and it feels like they're locked in for the next 2 or 3 years. So there's some salary cap implications with both the Saints and the Browns. Now the Browns pick 2nd in the draft. So they are going to have their pick of the litter, or not. They'll have their choice of either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders.
If they want a quarterback, they can get a quarterback who's pretty good.
Now, Deshaun Watson just had the Achilles injury, so he will not be playing next year. He might not ever play football again. You don't have anybody in that locker room that you have faith in. I think they're drafting a quarterback. I don't think they go get Sam Darnold.
Ooh, I don't know. The fact that there's only 2 reputable quarterbacks makes that number 2 pick very valuable. And I think that there are some teams like the Raiders who are in maybe the later single digits in that round that might want to move up and might pay more than what that pick is normally worth. It's not a 6-7 quarterback draft like we saw, or 6-7 quarterback first round like we saw last year.
Yeah, nobody's going to wait around. If you want somebody, you're going to try to trade up to the 2 spot.
And we saw no Amari Cooper next year, obviously, with him getting traded to the Bills this year. But we saw Joe Flacco lead that Browns roster to a playoff berth just last year. I think, especially for a Cleveland Browns organization, to where it's not like the kind of a really annoying conversation we have with the Steelers, where just being above 500 is not good enough. Just making the playoffs is not good enough. For the Browns, Sam Darnold and trading back a little bit with a couple of pieces they have there and that defense, that's good enough to make the playoffs, and making the playoffs is good enough. That's what I'm saying. Sam Darnold and a good trade back pieces is good enough.
You're right. I think the Browns would benefit from getting Sam Darnold if they can find a good trade-back partner and still get a player in this draft that they like. I actually would love that for the Browns. I will say I'm curious if a guy like Stefanski is going to want to say, all right, so now my coaching career is dependent on Sam Darnold over these next 3 years or so, because that means you're punting on drafting a guy that you might believe in, and you're saying we're locking in Sam Darnold and that ceiling that we just saw last night. Again, it's a really good ceiling. The Browns should take that. If you can get 14 wins and a wild card exit on the road, that is a very palatable way to go out. But I just don't know if Stefanski, who's already been on and off the hot seat with Cleveland because of the roster situation, because Watson didn't work out, I'm not sure if that's the perfect scenario. But I do think that we've narrowed it down. The Saints, who picked 9th, they've got Derek Carr still. They just restructured his deal. I think he's going to be under contract for another couple of years at least. Plus, going from Derek Carr to Sam Darnold kind of feels like, trading in like I don't want to use car brands right now because I don't want to get us in any trouble. But
a clunker, or not a clunker, maybe
a hoopty for a clunker.
There we go. A sedan with 100,000 miles on it for another sedan with 100,000 miles on it.
Yeah, like
not that bad.
Yeah,
you'll take it.
You're wasting my time. What did you even come here for? What is the best landing spot for Sam Darnold now that it seems like he has lost himself a future with the Minnesota Vikings, who likely will now turn the ball over to J.J. McCarthy the same way Sam Darnold was turning the ball over to the Los Angeles Rams last night? Who do you think is going to be the number one team in the market for Sam Darnold following that epic bag fumble on primetime television?